Clamping systems. They've all got their good and bad points. The holes in an MFT are 96mm apart, but often too far apart. My drill press has two slots that can take clamps, but so close together they get in the way of the drill head, making them pretty useless as clamp slots. T-slots offer more scope, but they're not compatible with clamps that fit in normal slots or dog holes, and they get expensive pretty quickly to boot. Why not cut your own clamping slots? With the Matchfit system you make your own dovetail slots in whatever pattern suits you. Lots of YouTube videos show you what it can do, so I'm not going to repeat that here. But it's got a big limitation. The slots it produces don't hold other manufacturers' clamps, only its own. I already have some Festool and T-slot clamps and want to use them and the more flexible slot arrangements of the Matchfit system. I tried the clamps in the Festool MFT slots around its edge and they all fit. They all fit the slots in the base of my drill press. And both the Festool and Matchfit clamps fit the MFT 20mm dog holes. But the Matchfit slots not taking the Festool and T-slot clamps? That's just wrong, and we're going to fix it. Dovetail slots get smaller towards the top, I get that. But the Matchfit slots get smaller too quickly for the Festool and T-slot clamps. The Festool feet are thicker by about 1.25 mm and that jams them in the Matchfit slots, so that's what we're going to fix. Stick around and I'll tell you how. Matchfit slots are cut at an angle of 14 degrees, but that's not the only option. Veritas dovetail saddle markers for hand cut dovetails have ratios of 1:6 and 1:8, giving cut angles of 9.5 and 7.1 degrees, so I look for a router cutter in that range. Leigh make dovetail cutters with an 8-degree angle, right in the middle of the Veritas range, so I got one of those. But there are two things to watch out for. The walls of 8-degree slots are more vertical, so the top surfaces could be weaker than those made by 14-degree cutters, but then the workpiece being clamped does support it. And the top gap can't be too wide, around 9mm is right. An 8-degree cutter with a 12.7mm wide bottom means a greater depth of cut, around 12 or 13mm. The cutting load on the dovetail bit can be reduced by what Matchfit call a relief cutter, just a straight bit. Many places sell good ones for less than the Matchfit one, and I've put a link to the one I used in the description below. I wanted to keep things simple and still use the supplied Matchfit guide to set the cutter depths. I happen to be using the router on a track which raises the router 4.5mm off the material, so I used a 4.5mm shim with the guide for the relief cutter. But if you're going straight onto the material, just use the guide as normal. I cut the relief groove before swapping to the dovetail cutter. I worked out I needed a cut depth around 12mm for the 8-degree dovetail cut. The track height and an increased cut depth for the 8-degree cutter meant an additional 7.3mm depth over the Matchfit cutter going straight onto the workpiece. So I used 7.3mm of shims so I could use the Matchfit guide as normal and cut the dovetail slot to test the different clamps in the new slot. I'll probably 3D print custom shims at the right depths in the shape of the router base to make it quicker and easier for future cuts. Once it was all set up, I cut the dovetail slot. If you're finding this useful, give me a like as it really helps the channel and lets me know to keep making more like this. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I do that. I checked a Festool clamp, the Microjig clamp and a T-slot clamp in the 8-degree slot. They were all fine, just as I'd hoped. I checked the dimensions. There was just under 6mm material underneath the slot, which won't be under any pressure anyway, and a slot depth of just under 13mm. The strength seems fine with no evidence of any issues. I'll keep an eye on it and report back. By way of comparison, the Matchfit cutter cuts a 10mm deep slot. So this gave me what the Microjig slot should have allowed in the first place. I just don't get why they did that. But hey, ours is not to reason why, ours is just to fix it and move on. Of course it is possible 8 degrees might be too low an angle, and as I said, I'll keep an eye on that. Axminster do make dovetail cutters with the choice of 8, 10 or 12 degree cutting angles. The 10 and 12 degree cutters will converge quicker than the 8 degree one and need less depth, potentially giving more strength. Whether they would still allow all the clamps to fit would need to be tested. Personally, I'm not so sure a 12 degree cutter would make that much difference over a 14 degree one, but a 10 degree cutter, well, that could be worth a look. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also let me know if you'd like me to try one or both of those. If there's enough interest, I'll make a follow-up video and let you know. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.